Hello and welcome. This is Wizzo's Channel 1 and your host is Richard. First of all, I'd like to say hi to all my current subscribers and for you passing by watching my content. A vast majority of you watch my content but are not subscribed. Please consider subscribing to the channel, press the notification button, like the video, leave a comment down below, and also share to social media. With that said, let's get on with today's video. Right, this is part 2 of my Sega Saturn collection, and any references or a brief history of the Sega Saturn is in my previous video. So if you haven't watched that, please go to part 1. Right, without no further ado, let's continue with the games. First game is Nights into Dreams. Yeah, and that's the back part of it. That's the inside case of it. Yeah, you're probably wondering why is it in a glass crystal case, and that is because that, and there's the instruction manual. That is because I'd got the limited edition Nights into Dreams promotional pack, which had the 3D circular controller to make it easier to play the game, and also as well I did have the box, but unfortunately the box got damaged, so I had to get rid of it. But I would turn around and say that if you haven't got this game, it is well worth playing it. I got addicted. I actually finished the game completely. That's one of my proudest achievements on the Sega Saturn. It's a sort of action fantasy type game, which has a little bit of a puzzle element to it as well. But if you haven't played it, or if you know someone who's actually got the Sega Saturn, maybe ask them if you can have a go at the game. I know that it's been ported to other game systems. I know that I have a Sega bundle which has Nights into Dreams, the HD version. They've re-smoothed the characters and everything, give it a nice new polish. That's what they did. So I have it on my PlayStation 3, and I've played it on there. It's nice to play it again after all these years. But yeah, if you haven't got it, or if you're not able to get it on the PlayStation Network, then see if you can, and if you have got a Sega Saturn, see if you can get hold of a copy. Right, the next game is Sega Rally. And that's that part of it. That's the other side of it. Yeah, inside. This is one of the boxes that actually is kept together. What can I really say about Sega Rally? It's one of the best car racing games there is on the Sega Saturn, and they use it as a big benchmark on testing it on emulation as well. For those of you who do emulation, it really does push out the processors on devices that that support Sega Saturn emulation. But yeah, it's one of the most brilliant games out there in its category. Right, yep, the grand finale of games, and that is a Panzer Dragoon Saga. That's the back part. I would open it, but I don't want the disc falling out. What can I say about Panzer Dragoon Saga? It's one of the best games that, for the Sega Saturn. I mean, there's other Panzer Dragoon games. I think Panzer Dragoon's Wii is another one that came out on there as well. I'm going to see if I try and collect some of the others. But Panzer Dragoon Saga is one of the most rarest games, and that is because the original developers who made the source code for the game, actually it got lost. So it wasn't able to be ported to other gaming systems, which is such a pity because it is a good game. So that makes it pretty rare. But I mean, some people out there is selling it for a ridiculous amount of money, which is, which is not, that's, to me, it's pure greed, really, to be quite honest. Also, as well, I loved the game. I got it when it first came out. I never got it second. I bought it brand new. For me, it's more sentimental more than anything. They don't make games like that again. So it's a bit of a jewel in the crown, so to speak. So if you haven't got it, and if you can try and get it cheaper than what these ridiculous prices online, see if you can hunt a copy down that's in good condition. It's well worth playing it, and it would be money well worth spent. With that said, let's get on with the next game. Right, the Fancy Star Collection. Yes, you probably recognise the type of version of the game. This is actually the Japanese game. This game was never released in Europe and North America. You could only get it in Japan, so this is one of the titles that you're not going to get. It started my journey on playing RPG games, but it's got the first 4 Fancy Star games on that disc, and some additional booklet which has some art illustrations and all that. It's worth also as well collecting it, because at the end of the day it's one of the rarer compilations that were put together for the Sega Saturn in Japan. Right, the next one, let's dig it out. Dead or Alive. Yes, Dead or Alive. Yeah, it's another one that I'd actually got for the Sega Saturn, and as you can probably notice, it's also a Japanese version. As far as I know, at the time, they only released the Japanese version on the Sega Saturn. It was meant to be due for a European and North America release, but as the console sold poorly, unfortunately, those who wanted a copy of Dead or Alive had to get the Japanese version. Also as well, I have an action replay adapter which you can save the game saves on it, and also as well play those type of games. Unfortunately, mine's not functioning properly, so if anybody out there knows if I can get hold of a action replay cartridge to save my game saves and to play the imports, it'd be gratefully appreciated, and probably where I can get it at a reasonable price. Yes, that's about it on those games there. Right, the next one is Christmas Nights. Yes, this is another one that's hard to get hold of, but if you collected the Sega Saturn magazine which came out, it was actually featured on the front cover. So as well that it's rare, it's a collector's item, but that's a version for Christmas. And also as well, there's other settings that you can change on it and change the scenery and all that. There's some little tiny hacks on the game as well. And also as well, you can play as Sonic. Yes, you can play Nights into Dreams with Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, great. But if you haven't got it, see if someone is selling it. It is hard to get hold of. And like I said, it was featured on the Sega Saturn magazine. So if you didn't collect the magazines, I've collected about 20 of them. There wasn't that many volumes of the magazine. I think after the popularity of the machine died, so to speak, they stopped creating the magazine. But if you can get hold of a copy of that Nights into Dreams, it'd be well worth playing it. The next one is basically demo discs. I know that Gaming Grandad Chris had shown some of his flash discs, but they actually came with the Sega Saturn magazine. I've got several of them, but I can't reach them at the moment. So this is like an example I got Sega Flash 4 and Sega Flash 7 in that case. Yeah. Basically, they have all demos of games on the console, and and it's quite good because it gives you an idea of what's out there and what's available, and that's a really good way of finding that if it's a game you're actually going to go out and buy. Unfortunately, there were some games I was interested in, but then by that time they were sort of hard to get hold of, and as the Sega Saturn sort of died out, so to speak, I went to play on the PlayStation, but that's how it goes. If you haven't got a Sega Saturn, it will probably worth see if you can get hold of one. They've made some brilliant games. There's a lot of treasures out there. I've forgotten how many games in total that were made. You can refer to Wikipedia. It should be able to tell you how many titles that were made for the Sega Saturn. I wouldn't say there have been that many because the game console had a very short life. So, anyway, this is the end of my part 2 of my Sega Saturn games collection. I hope you enjoyed it. So, until the next one, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.